Morning, guys.
Morning.
How's it going?
Awesome. How are you?
Good.
Good.
How's Josh?
Good, I guess.
Josh, I have to tell you a funny story. So I was looking at a website the other day, and I found your URL and your HTML file, and I was like, I thought you were. This is gonna sound. I don't know if it's gonna sound bad, but I thought you were hacking into my website intentionally. And then I realized that your website was overriding mine because of a little discrepancy in your YAML file, I think. And then I realized what was happening, but I thought it was I thought it was funny even when I thought you were hacking into my website. I started laughing really hysterically because I thought you were doing that, but I didn't think you were doing it in a malicious way. But I was really, it was funny when I figured out what was actually happening. So, but I would be glad to show you that if you want to see it. So I think in your YAML files, you have one called app YAML. And I think in there's a service name. It's like around line 37 and 49. Oh, yeah, something like that. In there, if those are changed to be unique for you, then they will be separate from the ones that I use. So what was happening is the load balancer for my application was pointing to your application. And so when I would hit the URL, it would go to my load balancer, which was then pointing to your to your HTML, I think was what was happening. It took me a while to figure it out. You're not the only student that did this, by the way.
Makes you wonder if there's in a real world applications how often does that happen?
Yeah, it does happen in real life. Yeah, and then you end up with really confusing outcomes. So, but anyway, if you have questions on that after class too, I'm happy to hang out and help you work through it. So,
Yep. I just have a class immediately after this one, so I can't.
Okay, no problem. We're also doing labs. I think we'll probably end up announcing that in class today. We're going to start doing labs for students who need time for that too. So that'll be separate.
Well, guys, how's it going? Good. Um,
We're doing well.
good.
How are you?
Good. Rainy weather here. For those of you who are in Rexburg, got the fireplace back on again. Feels like we're never really gonna get summer, but I think it's gonna be like 80 some degrees later this week. So just never know. Anyway, good to see you all. Can I pick on someone to say a prayer? How about let's see. Ronaldo, would you say it for us today?
Sure.
Thank you.
Dear Heavenly Father, we are so grateful for one more day, one more class. And we ask Thee to help us to understand these topics and understand how DevOps works and how to apply this in our professional life. And we leave these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. I don't know if we have someone for a Fear Fighting Thought today. I know we talked about getting people signed up. Let me go check to see what we've got out there.
That's me. I'm signed up.
Let's do it. Thank you, Josh.
All right. So I was thinking about this on Sunday, what I'd share, and I had the chance to bless the sacrament for somebody in our ward, somebody who doesn't have a priesthood holder in the home. And I was thinking a lot about that and about the first time I did that back when I was 16. And oh boy, I was so nervous. I was up all that night thinking about, oh, if I mess up, I'm going to mess up in front of the entire ward. What are they going to think? They won't say it to my face, but they'll judge me. I was reading way too much into it, and I was so nervous. And I got to church, and the bishop came and shook my hand. He kind of did the rounds, and he said, "Hey, you ready to bless the sacrament today?" And I thought, no, no way. And I said, "Well, we'll see how it goes." And laughed nervously. And then he said, well, just remember that it doesn't matter how many times you mess up. The only one that counts is the one you get right. And I really liked that, and it made me feel a lot better. But the more I think about that, and the more I've reflected on that wisdom, I think it applies to a lot more than the sacrament. Throughout life, it's just one big mistake after another. We just keep making mistake after mistake, and that's okay. Because the only thing that matters is the things we get right. We need to, as long as we don't give up, we haven't failed. So that's something I like to live by, and yes, there are times where we're scared and we will experience fear, but we just need to remember that every time we fail, we're one step closer to getting it right. And so that's what I've been thinking about today.
Thank you, Josh. Love that. Anyone else have any comments in response to that?
I did. I had a C++ teacher who was really good at coding, and I was really upset because of how hard the class was. And I remember telling her one time, because out of frustration, I said, if it works right the first time, then there's usually something wrong. And I was totally serious, because every time I thought something was working right the first time, I would look further and I was always mistaken. So she just laughed and she wrote it on the board and said, that's like a a statement of wisdom there. And I said, that's not a statement of wisdom. I don't know anything.
That's funny.
I liked your bishop's comment that the one that's right is the one that counts. I think that's a very good statement. It's very applicable to this industry, I think.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you try and fail. It matters that you fail and try again, right? So I like that, Josh. Very good. I also, for some reason, it also jogged my memory. I had a student share a fear fighting thought in the past who said, whenever you're facing a situation in your life, act as if you've chosen that situation. So, and I'm not exactly sure how he said it. It was more succinctly stated, and it was pretty powerful. But the idea behind it is, if you mess up, if you find yourself in a situation you don't like, if you can act as if you chose that situation, it changes your whole outlook. It changes your whole outlook about, what, it's okay. I messed up. Here I am. Let's do this. Let's go for it. Let's act as if I chose this and make the most out of it and move forward. So anyway, thank you for sharing that. So as far as housekeeping goes, for this class, we had a little quiz that we threw out there last night. So the idea behind that quiz, that checkpoint quiz, is really just to act as a checkpoint for us and for you, to see where we're at, to see where our understanding is at. It's all open-ended. We're mostly going to be looking at this for not with a fine-tooth comb, but just for a baseline. And so do your best to answer those questions, but don't stress over it. Obviously, it's not worth a ton of points, but we want you to think about it for your own sake as well. These are things that through this activity that we're doing this week that we're hoping that everyone will understand, this activity that we did last week and this week. And so if you can answer these questions, if you can't, ask some more questions in class or go research them, watch a video on YouTube. But if you can answer these questions, you can feel pretty good about just having a basic understanding. I think we got in on Monday a little bit into like digging into the files and saying, okay, what does this line do? What does this line do? And that's good. I think that helps us understand what the file as a whole is, or what the component as part of our pipeline is as a whole. But I don't want you to feel like you have to understand every line inside of those. So that's really what we want you to understand, is what the component is and what part does it play in the whole picture. Not necessarily understanding the details of what does this line do, what does that line do inside of the component, okay? But understanding what the components are in that diagram that we shared on Monday, and what a pipeline is, and what the point really is. So yeah. Any questions? So that's due tomorrow night. Again, you probably shouldn't. I hope you don't spend more than, I don't know, half hour on that. So 1 or 2 sentences each. Any questions about where we're at in the class? We will go over the activity more again today, and then hopefully we'll move on to the Google tutorials. The Quick Labs tutorials that you've probably seen in Canvas already. Some of you have probably already looked at it a little bit. But we're going to kind of start, when we get into those Quick Labs, we're going to kind of start back on the kind of a base level of, okay, let's create a VM, let's create a Docker container. And then we'll build back up to Kubernetes again. So the point of this exercise was really to give the overview and to tie in what we've been doing previously in the semester. But now we're also going to go back in and we're going to revisit each of these steps along the way in the Quick Labs over the next couple weeks.
Okay, so my question is, do we get to, like, I'll speak on my behalf, like I'm still struggling with the pipeline in progress assignment. I haven't done pretty much of it. So do we get to have some time today in class where we can make sure that at least I understand and be able to submit that?
Yeah, so as was mentioned earlier, Brother Murdoch, he's also graduated graciously hosting some lab hours this week. And so you can also work on it outside of class. You can stop by lab. I suggest that if you do that, you come with your partner, your running buddy, so that it's not, I just think that would be most beneficial. That way you guys can continue to help each other. What time were you planning on doing that again, Brother Murdoch?
2 to 4 tomorrow.
2 to 4 tomorrow.
p.m. Mountain Time. And we had one yesterday as well from 2 to 4 p.m. So yeah, I was thinking I could do that every week. If that helps you guys, I'd be happy to do it.
And then today, we were going to do a little bit more kind of overview and digging in a little bit more into this assignment. Hopefully we're going to finish it up today. That's our goal.
Yeah. I had an idea, Brother Miller.
Yeah.
I was wondering if it would help the class if I just went through each file and showed you what to change in each one to make it work, and we could all go through it together in class.
Okay, I think that's a good idea. I do want to make sure, and hopefully we'll get to this point, but that we also at least do an overview of each of the components, kind of like we did on Monday, each of the components as related to the Google Cloud, the GCP. So we did it in VS Code on Monday. I'd like to kind of do the same thing in Google Cloud, where we say, okay, what is a trigger? Let's look at that in Google Cloud. Where is that on the diagram? So, and I don't know how long that will take. So hopefully we can balance that in somewhere. But all right, okay. Let's start with that, brother, with what you suggested, Brother Murdoch. Let's do that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm gonna kind of have you guys follow along. So if you could try and do that, then I think we can stay together if we work hard on it. So, okay. So what I'm going to do is I am going to start with a page or I'm going to start with a new project, and I'm going to do all the steps that we need to do to get it to Google Cloud, okay? So I'm in VS Code, and I have open on the left this view. It's called the project view. I click these two little guys, and that opens that up for me. And at the bottom of the screen, I've got the terminal open. The way you get there is you go to Terminal, New Terminal, and then you can choose a project you want to be in. Now, I don't really want to be in this project because I'm going to start a new one. So I'm going to do cd ... And what that does, it brings me up one level. So I'm going to do make dir, and I'm going to call it Sean's page. And that makes a new folder. And then I'm going to do cd Sean's page. Now, if you've already got a new project, you do not have to do this, which most of you, probably all of you, already have done all of this. Now I'm going to go ahead and say File, Add Folder to Workspace, and then I found this new folder. I'm going to click Add, and here I've got a completely empty project. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is say New File, right-clicked on it, said New File, and I'm going to call it index.html. And then I'm going to call it Sean's page. Most of you have this already from previous exercises. I'm just going over it for review. Now, I need to make sure I've done this cd Sean's page, which I've done. So now in my terminal, I'm in that folder. So I'm going to say git init, which is setting up a new project. Now it did it. And if I say git status, we'll find a file that hasn't been checked in called index.html. I'm going to say git add index.html. Then I'm going to say git status again, and it says a change has been made to be committed. I'm going to say git commit -m, and I'm going to say first commit. And now I just need to add my remote. So then I'm going to go switch out of VS Code now, because I need to create a GitHub project that will store this project for me. So in GitHub, I'm going to log in, and then on the left, I'm going to click New, this green button. So that green button is right here, and that's creating a new project. I'm going to put it under BYU CIT262. I'm going to call it Sean's page. I'm going to make it public, and I'm going to click Create Repository. Now I have a URL. I'm going to copy that to the clipboard by clicking this button. And I'm going to come back here, and I'm going to say git add remote origin. Hold on, I always mix this up. Git remote add origin to git remote add origin. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to say git remote -v. That shows me that I've added it as my remote, which is going to make it so I can push it to GitHub. Git push -u origin master. And for anyone who's showed up a little late, we're just going over the whole end-to-end setup. So I've just done a little bit of review that most of you have done already. So now I've got a folder, and if I come back here to this, it shows up in GitHub. So there's my first commit, there's the file, it's Sean's page. Now I'm missing some things. There's 4 things that I need. Who can tell me one of the things that I'm missing in order to get this into a pipeline?
Is it
Docker type?
The Docker file?
Absolutely. I'm going to need a Docker file. So I'm going to say new file, Docker file. Now it's empty. So what could I do if I want to know how to make this file? What could I do that would help me, do you think? Could I look at another one that's already there?
Yeah, that's what I did. I just went on GitHub and then found that Docker file you linked us to.
Okay, great. So that's a great point. So in order to do that, I kind of like having the code checked out. So what I'm going to do is in the terminal, I'm going to do cd ... again, which brings me up to my project's root. And then I'm going to go ahead and check out the sample project that I linked you to. So if I go back here, I think it's this one. And I'm going to just make sure that's gone. So let's see if I can delete that. I'm going to delete that. I refresh here, that should be gone. Okay, so now I'm make sure I did the cd ... That brought me up a level in my folder. I'm going to say git clone and then the URL. So I'm going to click clone or download. I'm going to click copy on this. Git clone will bring that project in. Then I'm going to say file, add folder to workspace, so that I can work with that side by side with my other code. So I clicked that folder that I just checked out, and then I'm going to click add. Now it shows up over here again. If I refresh, it should be in good shape. Okay, so if I want to show side by side 2 files, how do I do that in VS Code?
Little button to the top right.
This one?
That's what I was doing, yeah.
Yes, good. So now I've got 2 of the same one. So how do I open another one that I want to look at next to the other? What do I do next? Can I just double click another file I want to look at?
Yes.
There we go.
Hey.
Okay, so now I'm just going to go ahead and I like typing. I found my brain does better when I type it instead of copying it. It's up to you. but I find it makes some kind of a connection in my brain if I have to type it. Now that is at the risk of a typo, but I find that I learn from those. So what this Docker file is saying is I'm going to load Nginx, which is a web server. That's how we share HTML over the internet. And the next thing is I'm going to make sure that my file ends up in that web server. So I'm going to copy it into it. That's what these 2 lines are doing in the Docker file. What am I missing now? Probably missing a few other files. What else?
How does it, can I ask, how does it see that index HTML? How does it know where to find that?
Great question. It's all context sensitive. So it depends if you're running it in the folder where it exists, then it knows it's there. And that's why I can just refer to it without any prefix.
Okay.
Because I'm running it within the folder. So I'd have to, if I did Docker build right here, it's going to freak out. No, there's nothing there. So, but if I go to Sean's page and say Docker build dot, it's going to say, I guess you're in the folder where this is, and look, I found it and I built it.
Good.
Good question. My son just made me a Father's Day card, I think. Let's see. Oh, yep, there it is.
Oh, man.
And there it is for all of you to see. Oh, it's kind of disappearing. Hi, Dad. Okay.
I like it.
Sorry.
I'll be lucky if I get one of those by Sunday evening.
He's also asking me what I want at the dollar store. And so,
what's your favorite candy?
yeah, I told him he could get me socks. That would be good.
There you go. Some crazy socks, some pink flamingos.
Yeah. Okay. So what else am I missing? I need a few more files. What's another file I need?
The app YAML.
Great. And so I'm going to just go ahead and say new file, app.yaml. And there it is. And now it's blank. But can I go ahead and open up another one? Sure. So what I do is I'm going to activate this other editor tab. I'm going to click into it first. Okay, thank you, Aiden. And then I'm going to open this one. So now I've got 2 to work from. It helps a lot if you click the one first you want it to open in and then double click it. And that's where it'll pop into. So now I've got this empty app YAML and then I've got this one over here. Now this is a pretty lengthy file. I wouldn't blame you for copying and pasting this whole thing, which is what I'm about to do. So there it is. In YAML, these dashes mean it's like a whole new file. So this is actually like having 3 separate files because I've got this section, lines, this section, lines, and this section. So I could actually just have these in separate files, but for convenience, they're in one file. So the way you can tell what each file is about is by a field called kind. It's telling you what kind of thing it is. So these 2 are services. Now, we were talking before class a little bit about what a service does. It basically takes network traffic and answers it. It takes a TCP connection and it says, here's a response. That's what a service does. Up here is a kind called a deployment. That is where it takes your code and pushes it out into a living, breathing thing. That's what a deployment is. It takes code that's just sitting there in a file and it makes it running inside of a server. That's what a deployment means. Well, if I look at this, the names are all still from the old one, okay? Now, if I were to do that, Kubernetes isn't going to care. It's just going to say, okay, so you've overwritten it with something else. I have that name, I see it. Now you've updated it with a new thing. So if I don't change the name, it'll just kind of smash over the old one with what I just gave it. So I'm going to go ahead and change every single place I see this name. So I'm going to just go ahead and say edit, find, edit, replace. We'll do it that way. So it's got what I've got in there is CIT262-group all. And now I'm going to call it Sean's page with a dash. Dash is legal as a character here. We want it to be all lowercase. This is where we might, yeah.
Sorry, I got a question. Is the dash, is it required?
Nope.
Okay.
Well, I could just do it like this.
Okay, but do they all have to be one word, I guess, then? No spaces?
Yeah, no spaces.
Okay.
That's correct. And so some of your build logs have been having errors because these have spaces. So you'll want to check that out.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, good question. So if you have a space in here, you can just go ahead and say like this, and then replace it all with something with a dash like that, and that would fix it, right? So I'm going to change all of the CIT 262-group alls to Sean's page. And then
Another way you can do this is by right-clicking on it, I think. Oh, maybe it's just for
all
Windows.
occurrences. Is that it?
Yeah, it is.
Ah, nice. Very nice. Thanks, Josh.
The downside is you can't see the previous one, but that's what I use.
That works very well. So now I'm not going to overwrite this other one, the CIT 262 group all, because I've named it something unique. And so when I go out and deploy it, it's going to deploy as an entirely new application, an entirely new load balancer. Everything's new. Now where that shows up, if we look at the Google console, console.cloud.google.com, we go in there, the way it shows up is under something called Kubernetes. So if I go up here, I'm going to click on CIT 262. This is fine for you to all use. We've got unlimited IP addresses now. The previous issues are overcome. Now, if I go to the upper left, Kubernetes engine, and if I go look at services, guess what I'm going to see? A bunch of services. So we have the group all load balancer. And if I click on this, this actually brings me up into a web page. If I click on this URL, this is bringing me to a web page. So that web page is running, each one is running a service that listens and directs traffic to your website. That's what a service does. So you can set a DNS name in front of this. So if I go team4.cit262.com, it'll look surprisingly similar to that IP address, because in fact, that's all it's doing. This is just a way of getting me to this. Before I get too far off track, I'm going to go back to the files I'm working on. Let's see, back to VS.
Question. For
Yeah.
DNS, can you have multiple DNS pointers? Like for LDS.org,
Yep.
you have Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saint, or churchofjesuschrist.org.
Yeah.
And so whenever I type in LDS.org, because I'm still apostate, it'll bring me to Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It'll
Now, the way
change
that there's different ways of doing it.
Okay.
But so when your browser changes the URL, like it does with, if you go to LDS.org, watch. It doesn't fool me and make me think I'm still on LDS.org, right? It actually, so the way that works is something called a 302.
Okay.
So if you develop developer tools, you'll see in the network tab, if I do this again, LDS.org, it gives it a 302 redirect, or I guess a 301.
Oh, one of the statuses.
Move permanently. And it
Oh.
actually is redirecting my browser to go somewhere else,
Okay, cool.
which is different than a DNS entry.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, good question. Great question. And you can have multiple DNS entries that go to the same IP. That's totally legitimate. Okay, what else am I missing? I've got my app YAML. What else do I need?
Cloud build.
Cloud build. Yes, I do. I need one of those. Okay, now I've got an empty one. What do I need to do before I try and open the reference one that I'm looking at? Move over here, click on the right? That way it opens up over there. Okay, so these are steps. You'll notice the very first thing it says is steps. These are the steps it takes to get the code in this repository in GitHub from just code sitting there to a website that's running. This is kind of like the one ring to rule them all. It's this file right here. This is the one that makes everything happen. So if it's not here, it's not going to happen. So right now, how many steps do I have? 0, right? So is it going to deploy?
No.
Nope, will not deploy. Okay, good. So let's add a step. Let's add this step. So I don't need these comments. These green are comments, but they are helpful. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy all of it over. I'm going to go down, over, and you'll find in YAML, it's really sensitive to spaces. So you want the format to look identical with the number of spaces indenting to be the same as the reference. Well, what do I have here that doesn't belong so far? I already have something that shouldn't be here.
The name, group
The
O.
name. That's right. Good job, David. So I can go ahead and change that now, or I can wait till I've copied everything over. I'm going to change it now. So what should I change it to?
Sean's page.
Yeah, let's keep it consistent. So I'm going to call it Sean's page. So that's perfect. Now I'm going to copy over the next section, but the first section, let's talk about. This is doing the exact same thing that I just did down here in my command line. So when Brother Miller asked the question about how does Docker know where the HTML file is, and I said it's because it's in the same folder, I just typed docker build dot on my own computer. But that doesn't make any difference to the server because the server doesn't know what I'm doing. It doesn't care until I tell it about it, right? So I'm telling the server in this first step, I'm saying, you have to build a Docker file. And when you build it, you're going to end up sending it somewhere. So it's going to build it in this step. And that's taking this Docker file here that's going to be in GitHub. It's pulling it down, and then it's building it. That's what that first step does. I'm going to copy over the next step. This step pushes the image, you see there's a little comment here, to the container registry. What do I need to do again? Something's off, right?
Got to change the name of the page.
Yep, got to change it again. Good catch, Josh. Okay, so
if you
yeah.
notice these steps in green, or the comments in green, they correspond with some of the steps on that diagram that we showed on Monday, right?
Yes.
So if you're looking at that diagram, maybe on your second screen as we go through this, it might help you kind of visualize.
Yeah, and I can share that again. Let's see if Google will cooperate with me. think it will. Share the link. Copy link. Okay, so there's the document that Brother Miller is referring to, if you'd like to open it. Okay, so this step pushes the built file, and it's now called an image. That image is like a snapshot in time of what my running server looks like. So this actually is like a snapshot in time of what files are there, how much memory does it have, how much CPU, what color is the wallpaper, all of that stuff. It's saved. That's what that's saving when it pushes it. And it's not pushing it to GitHub. It's actually pushing it to the Google Cloud Registry.
So this would be the first one would be that blue Docker build box, and the second, the step pushes the image to the container registry would be that arrow pointing the image to the Docker image registry.
So hold on 1 second. I just gotta move some windows around. Thanks for jumping in to ask that, Josh. So do you see the annotate option on the, are you able to draw my screen, Josh? If you go from the drop down, it says more.
Yeah.
Okay. You can go ahead and draw and ask your question if you want.
So that first one in the cloud build would be this section, and the second one would be this section?
Yes.
Okay.
That's correct. 1 and 2, build and push, are in that order there. And like we said, if it's not in this cloud build YAML file, it doesn't happen. So everything that happens in the build is in this single file. It's all the steps that are going to occur. So first step is build my Docker image. Second step is push it to the Docker registry so I can go get it later when I need it. Good question. Okay, so I've got one last step in my Docker build file. I'm going to copy this, paste it over here. This step deploys the application in Kubernetes. That's what the comment says there. Anything I need to fix here? There's at least one, if not two, things that I need to change. So what are they?
The group all needs to be made to Sean's page. What do we had it as?
Good call, Robert. Anything else that I might need to change?
Would it be that location? Yeah.
Potentially, yes.
Because we haven't set it yet.
So it all depends where you're running. If you are running in the main class project one, CIT 262, then you can leave the location how it is. If you are running in group 1, group 2, or group 3, you may have a slightly different setup. So what you'll do is you'll go to your project, whatever it is, say it's group 3. You'll go to Kubernetes engine clusters. To determine your location, you'll look right here where it says location. So again, I went to the group project I'm in. Now you can use this CIT262, and that's perfectly fine. You don't have to use anything other than that. But if you have chosen to use a different one for your build trigger, then you're going to want to go to that project. And I chose group 3 from the drop down. And then I went over here and I scrolled. I would have to scroll down if I didn't pin it. This pin makes it so it shows up at the top. So if you go scroll down to compute, sorry about the phone ringing, Kubernetes engine, and then I went to clusters. That's going to pop up this menu here where I see cluster 1. So if I look back here, that's this right here. That's the name of the cluster I want it to get deployed to. And if I come back again, the location of that cluster is in this particular region. So I'm going to copy that, US Central 1-C, and I would go ahead and put it in under location like that. Any questions on that?
What is the name for GKE deploy on line 29? Is that referencing, is it giving it a name at that point, or is it referencing an existing GKE deploy?
Great question. So each name, believe it or not, we're using Docker to deploy Docker. So each name is actually referencing a Docker container image. And we're actually saying, go find this Docker container image, and it's going to be our helper now. We're going to use it to complete these steps. So it's as if I were to say, like this, Docker run. And instead of just giving a name, I gave it a URL like that. And then if I said build -t and so on, all of these are arguments that I'm passing to that URL.
Is that similar to a library in programming?
Yes.
Okay.
It's exactly like that. That's a great analogy.
Okay, I got one question also.
Okay.
So on line 35, when it says cluster equals cluster 1, does that matter at all?
It does. It needs to match this here for you.
Okay. Okay.
And I think yours are all named cluster 1.
Okay.
So you'll probably be fine. But make sure this matches, because I've seen, I think, 3 different regions in our class.
Yeah, I'm following along, and that was one of the things that was different.
Okay. Good. Good question. Now I'm going to revert mine back because I don't want to use this group 3. I'm going to just stick with this CIT262 one. And in there, it should be US East 1-B, like that. Okay. Now, am I missing anything? Or am I ready to start trying to build it?
Is this where we would start making the trigger and
Yep.
on? Okay.
Yeah, that's right. So, however, all this stuff is just sitting here on my computer. So I need that to be in GitHub to do any good, right? How would I start to get that up to GitHub? I'm going to need 3 different commands. What's the first one? Starts with get.
Add each file.
Okay, good. So I could do git add Docker file, app.yaml, cloud build YAML, right? So now if what do I need to do? Git
To commit it.
Git commit -m.
Good. Now what?
Check its status. Like a comment or something about what you've done.
Okay. And how does that comment need to look?
It needs to be within double quotes.
Okay. Added files. Is that good?
Yes, maybe.
Okay. Yep. That's good. And then someone said I could type get status now. Now, what does this mean? Your branch is ahead of master. What does that mean?
It means you need to push it.
Yes. How do I do that?
Get push.
Thank you. Okay, now we said that this is the one file to rule them all, right? This cloud build YAML. So is it working now? We got it all filled out.
I hope so.
It's the file is correct if that's what you're wondering. But is it actually building my project? That's what I'm asking you.
Do that trigger.
We need a trigger. What's a trigger? What's that?
Tells the file to fire away.
Good. Yeah, so it's like this file here has all the steps to build my application, but there's got to be something that acts on it, right? A file just sitting on a computer or just sitting in GitHub is not going to do anything.
So is it kind of like a compiler? Or?
It's similar. So it follows a set of instructions. In that respect, it's similar. Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So how do I make one of those?
Go to tools, right?
Yes.
And then under tools, I forget what it's called.
Go to network.
Yeah, network. No, don't you go under cloud build, right?
Yes.
And then you go to triggers.
Yep. Now what?
And then create a trigger at the top.
Okay.
And then you do all your stuff right there.
Okay. So I'm going to call it Sean's page. And then now what do I do?
Do you select your repository?
Yes. And let's see if it's in here. No. So what do I do?
What do you do?
Click connect to new repository.
Good. And mine's in GitHub. So I click continue. Okay. And there it is, Sean's page. Okay. I understand. Can I click connect?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And now what?
Create push trigger.
Okay. Okay. So if I scroll down, there it is. So I'm going to click on it. And it looks like it'll run anytime a push happens to a branch. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. So how do I get it to start?
Do you click that run trigger at the right?
Where did it go? Oh, there's 2 pages. There it is. You said to click this? Okay, I'm going to click that. Oh,
Failed to trigger build.
okay, what's wrong? What file would I go fix now?
Cloud build.
Okay, and what in there should I look at first?
The arguments.
Okay, so if I come over here and I compare these side by side, can you see what's wrong?
Space.
Yes, it's very space sensitive, very, very sensitive. So what would I do on this line?
Just add one space.
Okay, is that good?
Well, maybe another one.
Okay, you're
No,
right.
wait.
You're right. It's 2 spaces in this case. So I'm going to do that with every line. Now, how does Cloud Build know to take these changes? Where is it going to get them from? Because I just did it on my computer.
Can I get it from GitHub?
Okay, so do I have to send it to GitHub then for that to work?
Yeah, you have to push it probably.
Okay, good, push. Is that good?
Or maybe commit. Do you have to commit first?
Actually, I think you need to add and then commit.
Oh, that's right. I do.
And then push after commit.
Cool. Now what?
Try rebuilding or rerunning the trigger.
Okay. Is it possible that it actually already found it now that I pushed it to GitHub?
Oh yeah, because you have it to run after every push.
I do. So if we go back to that, it says repository event that invokes the trigger, right? And it's a push that triggers it. Good catch. So how would I find it now? Where would I go see what it's doing?
Like within Google Cloud?
Yeah.
Just the histories tab on the left?
Yeah, that's right. Good job. Okay. And it last ran at 11:08. So I'm going to go click on this build tag and let's see what happened. So scroll down, build worked, push worked. Okay, so far so good. Oh, interesting. So what does it say? Failed to update container, failed to parse reference from image, GCR, Potent Galaxy, Sean's page. Anyone see anything that's a red flag in there?
Is it because of that space between the number and Sean's page?
Yes, doesn't like spaces. That won't work. So let's go and see where we can fix that. Any idea where I would look to fix that? What file would I look at?
The app.yaml.
That's right. And if you wonder how I could figure that out, the step that failed is step 2. And it was saying run file name equals app YAML. And that's a hint. That's the file it was trying to load right there. Good job. So if I go to my app YAML file, there's the space. Okay, how should it look? What would I do to figure that out?
You can take the space away.
Just like that?
Add a /
Like that?
Yeah.
Does that look good? Okay, let's look at this one. Nice, Weston. You got it. Okay, so now what do I do?
Git push app.yaml, right?
Didn't like that.
Add.
Oh, is it git add?
And then your file that you edited.
But you were close. It's just git add app.yaml.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, and that just says I'm adding it to a commit. That's what it says. You can add a bunch of things to a commit before you commit it. So I add that one. So now I need to commit it, right? And you might think that should be all, right? I committed it. But Git is funny. When you commit, you're just saving it here. You're not saving it up there in the cloud. So how do I do that? I committed it, I added it, I committed it. What's the last thing?
Push.
Push to, where does that go?
That goes to your GitHub repository, right?
That's right.
Okay.
Well done.
I got another question. Sorry if I keep asking so many.
Oh,
So
that's fine.
on this git commit, is that a necessary step? What does the git commit do exactly?
Good. So the way Git works, it doesn't need a server to work. You don't need GitHub at all. Git can just be one guy's computer and another guy's computer, believe it or not. That's how it was invented. That's how it was designed. A bunch of guys had computers with Git on them. That's it. GitHub is a new thing that they added later. So the idea is I'm committing it to my own local Git because that's all there was from the beginning. There was just everyone had their own Git. So you commit it and that saved it in your Git. And if you wanted someone else to have it, then you'd have to tell them who you were sending it to by their location. So when you say git remote-v here, that would be, instead of origin saying GitHub, it would be some other guy's computer. So the concept is Git is kind of called distributed version control. It means it's stored all over the internet and everybody has their own copy of it. And committing it is just saving your copy and telling what you changed about it. That's what it's doing. So when I do commit-m, I'm saying I'm saving what I just did and here's what I just did in a plain English description, is this comment here. So then when you push it to GitHub, the cool thing is you go back there to repositories. This one, commits. See how it says fixed space? It's because I said that in my comment. I said fixed space. So when I push it, it takes my local commit and puts it back on the server so that they're synced up with each other.
So before GitHub was a thing, was it just common practice to kind of have like a local server that they'd push to at their business or something?
Actually, when they first invented it, everybody had a public IP address for their own computer. And so you would push to other people's computers. That was the first step. And then I think the next thing was what you described. Then after that, they said, let's keep a centralized Git server. And then they set that up next. So yes, to answer your question, the answer is yes. Yeah, good question. What do you think? Is it going to work? Who votes yes? Raise your hand if you think it worked. Okay, it looks like the jury's still out. So I click on it and it says it's waiting. So far, the things that have worked, build worked, push worked, because now we're on step 2. So 0 and 1 are finished. We're on step 2. And right now, it's trying to build 3 things: a deployment, and see that kind shows up again here that we talked about earlier. The kind is a service. And then it says that is ready. So my service is ready. Now it says it's waiting for 2 objects to be ready. One is called deployment and another one is called a load balancer, which is another kind of service. Okay, that's it. I'm gonna hang out. Class is done, but if you wanna ask questions, there's today. There's tomorrow at this same Zoom room at 2 p.m. Mountain. We're having a lab, 2 to 4. So if you could come at 3, 3:30, if you can come at 2 or 2:30, anytime between 2 and 4 tomorrow Mountain Time, this Zoom room, we're having a lab if you want to come.
So how about the recording? Where the recording of this class gonna be in case we want to review something?
Oh, great question. I will post that as an announcement today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And from this point, the only thing that you have left is the DNS.
That's right. And the way I would do that is when this finishes, it's going to pop up an IP address in the log here. I'll see an IP address. And if we go to one that worked, we can show you Ronaldo's build. And if you look at his build, it ends up, when it's done, giving you this IP address. So if you click on that, you can go follow link, and that'll actually open it. Or you can copy it. Copy. Then you go here. You go to network services, cloud DNS. That's where you go. You're going to go to this first entry, April 2020 CIT 262 section 1. You're going to click add record set. You're going to put in the IP address here. And then we're going to say Ronaldo twin. So that's a new entry to the same IP address in this case, but you guys will just have one. Click create. And within 5 minutes, Ronaldo's twin will exist. And you'll take that, copy it, and you go like this. Take the dot off. And this takes about 5 minutes.
And we just take a screenshot of that and that's it, right?
That's it.
Gotcha.
So if you want to change the message that you wrote on the code, like the VS Code, like do you have to do all the process like go git, push, and save it or anything else?
You mean the message here in my HTML?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you would just change it here. So you'd say, Sean says hi to you. And then you would follow those same 3 steps. Get add index.html, get commit-m, new message, and then you'd say get push, like that. And that'll push this new HTML out for you. The whole thing's done. You guys built the whole process, so that's all you have to do now. Whenever you change your code, you do add commit push, and it updates this URL over here.
Okay.
Thanks. I think that's important to note that we're going through all these steps delivering or to create this pipeline to make it easier to make and deploy changes in the future. It seems like a lot of work to do the first time, but then once it's all done, it's super nice. It's, you know, it's a pipeline delivering, just like your pipeline delivers water to your house. I mean, it delivers it to deployment for you after all you need to do is commit it in the future. And so going forward, this would be super nice for an organization, for you and for anyone else who's using it. Once you set up that pipeline, your life becomes a lot easier.
Yeah, because programmers can just think about programming, for example. They don't have to think about servers. They just write code and push it. Yeah, thanks for adding that, Brother.
No, this was really good class, really good questions. And I love how you guys all participated in helping us put this together today.
Yeah, I agree.
This was extremely helpful. Thank you.
Good. You're welcome. No problem.
Did you say you were going to be on after class?
Yep.
Or just tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm staying.
Awesome.
I'll be here for about 20 more minutes.
Okay.
So.
All right, I hate to make you like troubleshoot. I just have a quick question. If
Sure.
it says like the only thing that's stopping me is that it's not giving me, or I'm not getting permission for the cluster, something like that.
Can you share your screen?
Yeah, yeah.
That's one that we didn't show you how to do. So that's perfectly good question.
It's right here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to tell you how to do this. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. So line 22 is how you fix it. So see how it says you may need to grant permission to access the cluster.
Yeah.
And then below it, there's a command, a gigantic command. That's it. That's what you need to do. So you want to copy that whole row.
What line is it? 20.
The one you're highlighting, 22.
Okay. Oh, I see. I see. Okay.
Yeah, it's a giant command.
Let me copy. Okay.
Is that a lightsaber cursor?
It is.
That's
Nice.
cool.
Nice. That's so cool.
Yeah. And then do I put this command in just in GitHub or I mean in VS Code?
I haven't told you, so that's a very good question. Up in the upper right corner, if you go from your avatar, you go over 4, there's a shell. Click that. Continue. Okay, paste it in there. And you got a leading few spaces there. What did it say? Did it work? Can you scroll up? Yeah, it worked.
All right, so just rerun it and see if it works.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Where's that? Oh, retry.
Yeah. Do you mind if we watch with you?
No, yeah. Go ahead.
Cool.
While that's
Now, one thing that might be tricky. Did it see line 26?
Uh-huh.
What does it say?
Could not find cluster
Ooh.
1 in US East 1. Like the, what was the name that we gave it? I can't remember where we put it. Was it in the
Scroll down. You were in the right one.
Oh, okay.
It's at the very end.
Right here?
Mm-hmm. Now, there was a hint in the console that I think you might have missed. In the cloud build, sorry. The very line 27. See that question?
Oh, do I need to change it to this?
I think so.
Or
I think you need to change that to that region.
like
See the location?
Oh, well, already.
Is it already set to that? US Central 1C. Oh, interesting. Could not find cluster 1 in US East 1B. Can you do get status in VS Code? Okay. Okay, so you are running, it says it couldn't find it in 1B, right?
Yeah.
If you see on the red, the left, there's 2 green check boxes and then there's a red. If you could expand that out a little, we can see the whole command it's running to the other direction. Sorry. So see where the red exclamation is? Underneath there, it says run dash file and it's ... We want to expand that whole window out.
Oh,
see?
you want to expand it this way? Okay.
Yeah.
Opposite way.
That's okay. So this is the command that it's running. So we're just going to have to do a little sleuthing to connect all the dots here. So the first thing is it's building CIT 262 group 3, CIT 262 group all. That looks, sorry, did someone say something?
I was going to say, isn't it not supposed to be group all anymore? Or
yeah, right. So my first question is this GitHub repo where it says source, is that yours?
Where?
Right. There's a little.
Oh, right here.
Yeah, is that your repo?
No. Git. No, I don't know what that is.
Okay, if you go to it.
If I click on it?
Yeah,
Or-
just click on it like you did before.
Oh, okay.
And then click the top link. It'll take you through to the other one. Okay, this is Josh Elliott's repo.
Okay.
So we want to look at your build trigger, which is a different one.
Okay. So I just go to the triggers?
Yeah.
Okay. Mine is this one.
Okay. So Weston's page is the name of the trigger. So then if you go to history on the left, okay, and then there's one above that even at 1106. If you click that F1BDD88 to the left, that'll open it. Okay, and let's scroll down. Okay, so I think you can rerun this now.
Okay. Was I just in the wrong
build?
Yeah. I don't know how I got there.
Yeah, you were in the wrong build.
Thank you for the help.
Absolutely.
Hey, Brother Murdoch.
Yes.
I know that the video is going to be available in a few hours, right?
It'll probably be like 1 hour.
Okay. Because the due date is today, and I was confusing some things, so I just decided to watch. I think I can do it if I see the recording.
Yeah, usually Zoom gives me the recording within about 15 minutes, and then it takes about 10 minutes to upload it to YouTube. That's how I usually do it. And then I'll send you the link to the YouTube through an announcement.
Gotcha. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow, it takes a long time.
The first time it does, because none of that stuff is set up yet.
Oh, okay.
So, and then the next time it's just updating it. So it kind of says, that's already there, that's already there. This is different.
Oh,
Update it.
Gotcha.
I'm just taking a drink of water. I'll be right back.
I wonder if the build is slow because I'm doing a build at the same time, Weston.
Oh, I think you're good. I don't know why it would matter, but should be okay. I don't have very good internet anyway, so.
Yeah, the nice thing is this totally doesn't matter. Your internet won't affect it at all. It's all happening on cloud servers. So.
Would it be affected if I'm running the build at the same time and we're on the same team or cluster?
Nope. Yeah, so if you were using something like Jenkins where you use your own server for builds, then yes, because Jenkins will be it'll be bound to a specific machine and you only have so much resource. Jenkins does the same thing as Cloud Build, but Cloud Build uses a whole separate container for each build and you're all isolated running separately. It's really cool that way.
So with Jenkins, would we have like a jenkins.yaml file? Is that what we would do?
Yeah, in Jenkins, you have a declarative pipeline script, which is very similar to a Cloud Build YAML. It's very similar.
So for me, Brother Murdoch, I was getting an error. It said failed. So build step 2 and then the URL. Failed step exited with non-zero status. Have you ever seen something like that before?
Yeah. I'll let you share your screen.
Okay.
Sure.
Sounds like that's the same thing I was going to ask. So this works great.
Cool.
Yeah, same here. So this is gonna be great.
Good. So see how it says line 131?
No.
Line 131 on the far left.
Oh, here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's your error. That's what happened.
Oh, it's not this?
No, that the red one just means the whole thing. It's kind of like either the whole script worked or part of it didn't. And the line 134 is telling you it didn't. And then 131 is telling you why it didn't work, which is, it's kind of not helpful in this case.
Yeah.
So it says timed out after 5 minutes. Now, what you have to do when this happens is first figure out what worked. Yeah, look at that. So your service worked, it's ready, your load balancer did not, and your deployment did not, okay? Yeah. So what you want to do is go to the 3 bars on the left, the main menu. I forget what it's called, all the way up, the hamburger on the blue bar.
Oh, this guy. The hamburger.
Navigation menu. People call it a hamburger.
I like it.
Yeah. So if you go down to compute and then Kubernetes engine, I usually pin it. Kubernetes. See that pin? Yeah.
Yeah.
And now let's go to services.
Okay.
Okay. And what was the name of your service again?
It was just called GitHub. It was a terrible name.
That's fine.
Shouldn't have a lot of foresight with this.
Okay, GitHub service. So you have one line there, GitHub service, and then you have a one below. Oh, that's GitHub load balancer.
Oh,
both.
Here?
That's great. Yeah, so GitHub service is the one that worked, and then above it is your load balancer. Now see what it says, creating service endpoints?
Yeah.
So let's look at this. What's it doing? It still thinks it's creating. Can you scroll down?
Sure.
Oh. Hey, is it actually running? It says your pod is running. Your deployment's running. You've got a cluster IP. And just so you know, that 10 dot address, that's an internal IP address. It will not work outside, just a heads up. And then, so it kind of looks good. Can you refresh it? There's a refresh button.
Sure.
Still
the same.
What does it say at the top now?
It says creating service endpoints.
Endpoints. Interesting. Oh, good. Error creating load balancer. Failed to ensure load balancer. Failed to create forwarding rule for load balancer. Quota exceeded. What? They gave me 125 of these.
Oh.
Huh.
Limit 8 globally.
Quota exceeded. In use addresses. Okay. I'll get this fixed. This isn't you. So.
Okay. I was like, I'm doing everything that it should work.
Yeah, why don't you just do a screenshot of this to turn in for your assignment if you could do that.
Well, I pointed to a DNS server before too.
Okay. Well, you would need to wait till you've got your public IP address for the load balancer.
I think I did it on the second.
Oh, on the other group?
Yeah, and it wasn't, like I tried to point it, but then it wasn't working, so then I moved over
You can
here.
go over there if you want and set up the same thing, but...
It wasn't working for some. I could try.
Okay.
But I'll do that, and I'll let
Yeah.
Weston get back to it.
It should work as long as you don't have more than 8 projects running.
Okay.
So I've got about 5 more minutes if anyone has other questions.
I got one. So for my Kubernetes workloads, it says that I don't have the minimum availability.
Okay, can you share your screen?
Yeah. I think it's this one.
Okay, so the first one. So can you click your stat? Yep. And then click show details on the far right of that error. Yeah. Click the one before it if you could. Cannot pull image. Okay, yeah. So this is just an issue with the URL for your GCR repo. And I didn't go over that in class either. Do you see the URL? Excuse me, the URL. It's going to be in your, do you know where it'll be? I won't tell you. Let's see if you know.
I don't.
Okay. Click show details again on the far right there. So the hint is
right here.
It's in Kubernetes. Yeah, you can click that. I don't know what that is. Let's click on it. Never done that one. Okay, so yeah, I don't know what this means. That big long string. I have no idea what that is. But if you go to your app YAML file, in there, line 17, that's where you're telling it how to find the image you built. And the problem is that the URL is for the CIT 262 project, and you were in like group 2 or something. Is that right?
Yeah, or
So,
group 3.
Okay. So that just the middle section there needs to be updated to reflect that. And if you, yeah, if you go to the browser, I think you'll be able to see. So it's like, take the name up there. It's CIT-262-group 3, all lowercase. They just replace spaces with dashes. Yeah, that looks good. What about in your cloud build YAML? Are you pushing to that location? Okay, so see where it says $project ID? That's automatically injecting the value that you just typed in hand by hand. So we're good there.
Okay.
So I've got a question, but I can ask it in the lab tomorrow, right?
Yeah. Or you can share your screen if you want. I think that should help with Chris's. So.
Okay, yeah, I'll stop sharing now.
Okay.
Sorry, I know your time's valuable.
Nope, you're good. Go for it.
All right, let's see here. Okay, so I keep getting an error right here.
Okay, failed to get configuration of deployed object with kind service and name. Failed to get config of deployed object. Command to get Kubernetes config. Unable to connect to the server. IO timeout. Have you gotten this particular error more than once?
Yes. Yeah, I've tried it a couple different times.
Oh, wow. Can you, yeah, that's a, failed to get config of deployed service. Line deployment. Getting access to cluster 1. I'm on line 97.
Okay.
Configuration files to be used, kind deployment, kind service, applying configuration files to cluster. Okay, failed to get config of deployed. Can you scroll over one more time?
Yeah, of course.
Thank
Which
you.
line are you looking at?
The failed one. Failed to get config of deployed object. Command to get Kubernetes config. Unable to connect to the server. Dial TCP 3474. So what's happening is it's trying to talk to the Kubernetes cluster, and it's failing to connect, which is kind of weird.
Would it be worth retrying?
Yeah.
Okay.
It might be that we had everyone running their stuff during class and it overwhelmed the Kubernetes cluster. It might have kind of overloaded it on API requests, which is interesting.
We're learning all sorts of things.
Yeah.
Brother Murdoch, that fixed it for me, so I'm going to take off. Thank you for your help.
You're anytime. Have a good day.
You too.
Yeah, it usually slows down around here.
Yeah. Service. My last job I worked at, I remember it took me over 100 builds to get a project working.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I kept hearing that my boss was watching the logs. Like, I sure hope he didn't see that it took me 100 tries before it worked.
Well, kudos to your patience.
It seems promising here. It looks like it's still communicating with the server, which is not what happened last time. So
I wonder if I forgot a step or
No, what you saw before has nothing to do with that.
Okay.
It's just Cloud Build is talking to Kubernetes, and the connection between those two was broken all of a sudden. It was kind of random. I've only seen that happen one other time, and it was when Kubernetes was completely down.
Oh. You've gotten muted.
Yeah. My kids just said one of our kittens just got smashed under the washing machine.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Just now?
I think I need to go help. Yeah, I'll be right back.
Yeah, okay.
Yep, you better go. Bye.
I can ask this another time. That's a lot more important.
Okay. Yeah, let's try to regroup later, or tomorrow at 2 if you guys can make it, sometime between 2 and 4.
Okay.
So,
Thank you to both of you.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. I just told them let's just continue later, or let's just pick later. So you can go take care. Take care.
It's good. The kitten's fine.
Really?
Yeah, I think he just got his foot stepped on. If the worst case is he might have just like his foot smashed a little, but I didn't notice. I just saw that he was sitting there kind of just like a normal. He didn't seem like he was having trauma, so that's good.
Okay, well that's amazing. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Based on the way it was described, it sounded a lot more bleak than that. So, all right, thanks.
Okay. Yep. Thank you. I'm looking forward to the video.